Unfortunately, all the king's men did not perish in the sea of leaves. Crouching behind one of the maze's thick concrete walls, the children lined up quietly behind the knight. He put a finger to his lips, making sure they knew to keep quiet, even though Wonderland had already left them taciturn. The remaining barrel from Harry's saddle was waiting at the knight's bent knee as he tore some of his uniform to make a fuse. A new suite of diamond soldiers, commanded by the original Jack of Diamonds, waited around the corner in the center of the maze. In the middle of a toot from his snuff-box, he paused to shush his men. The Jack was the only one who heard the sound, but they all watched blankly as the barrel wobbled and rolled right to their feet. The White Knight walked out from behind the wall, squinting first over the distance and then again in disbelief. The Jack's face finally bloomed in a scowl. The knight gave him a satisfied smile and waved goodbye. The explosion ripped through the card soldiers, killing them all. Beneath the ivy veil, the iron-hatched door remained ajar from when Blakey came through. On the Wonderland side, it looked forgotten and insignificant. He instructed Jonah, standing with him, "Make sure they get home, yes?" The knight handed the boy a fresh torch and a saddlebag with his rabbit lighter and additional card torch rolls. Jonah proved a natural leader. One hand held the torch, safely distanced above their heads, and he helped the little ones into the hatch with the other. The White Knight gave him a proud nod and held the veil of ivy aside for the others. The children filed through. Off you go, back to your snug little beds in your snug little houses, sugar, games and fun, or whatever children do. He watched each of them with a benign smile. Alice was the last one. She stopped to look up at the White Knight. Confused, he leaned down. "What is it, dear child?" She didn't know, but kissed him on the cheek. "Goodbye." The White Knight, surprised, blushed and put a hand to his cheek with a smirk. "Goodbye." She climbed over the hatch lip and disappeared into the tunnel. The knight leaned into the dark after her. "Perhaps you'll come back and visit someday?" She was already gone, so there was no answer. Up above, in the reel, Susan was sitting on a rock, shivering. It was still night, but the sea was calm. Susan sensed something and rose. Children emerged from the shack, filing out one by one. Susan covered her mouth in shock and put Violet down. Her eyes teared as the near 50 children walked out. Jonah was amongst them, no longer holding the torch but carrying a small girl instead. She rushed over, grabbed her boy, and hugged him like she never had before. Then she saw Alice and she erupted in a fresh set of tears. She grabbed Alice too. She waited for Blakey, but there were no more children. There was no one else. Susan chose her words carefully. "Jonah, who got you out?" "A knight with a horse." The boy was still fresh enough to convey the impossibility of it all. "We were in a fortress of cards they made us draw. A knight came and killed all of them." All the children crowded around Susan, waiting to go home. Susan leaned her head to her son's ear and whispered, "Jonah, did you see Mr. Blakey?" Jonah shook his head gently. "No." Below, the White Knight strained, putting all his strength into turning the hatch door wheel until it locked with a metallic bang so sonorous it echoed up through the staircase and out of the open shack door like a belch. Above, they all looked to the gaping mouth of the shack door. Much to all of their surprise, the shack collapsed, folding itself up, smaller and smaller, pulling into the ground until all that was left was the jade doorknob, stuck into the dirt like a green glass night flower. Jonah looked at Alice and Susan before walking over to where the shack just stood. The beautifully etched doorknob glimmered in the moonlight, and Jonah picked it up, bringing it to his mother. They all looked at the singular remainder, and Susan knew for certain now Blakey was gone. Susan grabbed Jonah, pulling him close, hugging him and Alice even harder as she fished out Blakey's phone to call the police. She cried more, but kept a reassuring smile so as to not let Alice know her father was gone. That could wait for later.